Welcome back to Elden Ring. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at 6 of the most broken OP weapons you must have in the game. And what I've done is looked through every single weapon that I've obtained in my playtime. I've actually found 24 of them that rank way above every other weapon in the game. So just quickly, before we get any further into the video, if you're not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like. All support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description. And also, I'm interested to know your favourite weapon in the entire game. So let me know in the comments, and let's get into it. So, starting this one off, we have the Black Knife. The attribute requirements are not too high for this. You need 8 strength, 12 dex, and 18 faith. It does scale a little bit better with dexterity. It has a B tier scaling for dex, C for faith, and E for strength. And the reason I love this weapon so much, and the reason it's so powerful, is because of the skill Blade of Death. It's got a 25 FP cost, and if we have a look at these enemies over here, if I lock onto one of them and I use my left trigger, you jump up into the air and you slash them with this blade. As you'll see, the damage is really high on it. It deals 1750, but if you don't one-tap the enemy, this thing also deals extra damage over time. So coming over to the Sanctum in Caelid, just to show you this quickly, Blade of Death, I use the skill, and you'll see that damage ticking up, and it builds up quite quick. It doesn't last too long, but another good thing about this is because of the faith scaling, and not only that, the weapon itself, it deals holy damage. So this is not only going to be really good in a faith build, dealing holy damage, it's got a really good skill, deals damage over time, all that stuff. It's actually the weapon that's used by the Black Knife assassins, and it's just something really good. If you get the Black Knife armor set, you can look really cool, you can deal a lot of damage, and I also think this weapon fits into a lot of builds really well. It's really small, it only weighs 2, and it's got a really quick hitting 6-hit combo. So if you want to feel like one of the Black Knife assassins in the game, make sure you get your hands on the Black Knife. Weapon number 2 is something that was unfortunately nerfed quite a bit in patch 1.03, but I'd still put it up there with the top Elden Ring Best Weapons, because the nerf, it did take some of the damage away, but it didn't nerf it completely into the ground. You'll see it does scale on 4 different attributes: strength, dex, intelligence, and faith. Intelligence and faith being B tier and strength and dex being D. The requirements are a little bit higher than the Black Knife: 12 strength and dex, 24 intelligence and faith. And if you have a look at the skill, Night and Flame Stance, the FP cost is 26 for one and 32 for the other. So it's going to be the flame one that's 32 and the magic one that's 26, because this obviously scales with intelligence. I would put this in an astrologer mage magic build. So taking a look at the weapon, if I lock onto an enemy, I hold my left trigger and I press my right bumper, it does it's basically like a mini Comet Azure. And you have to be level with the enemy, which is the only annoying thing. So if I do it again, you'll see, even though it did get nerfed, it's still pretty strong. So putting this into a magic build, scaling it on intelligence, basically building up your intelligence stat, is going to be really good. But not only does it do the magic side, it does fire as well. So if you hold your left trigger and you do your right trigger instead, the damage isn't as high, but it's still really fun to use. And you'll see that the fire one has a much bigger, it's got an AoE effect to it, whereas the magic side of it doesn't. But ever since finding this weapon in the secret sort of room in Caria Manor, it's been so much fun to use. Then next up, weapon number 3 is the Rivers of Blood. Most Elden Ring players will know about this weapon. This will scale with Arcane, Strength and Dex, D for Arcane, C tier for Dex and E for Strength. It requires 20 Arcane, 12 Strength and 18 Dex. And the main thing you're focusing on, because it does have a passive effect that causes blood loss build up at a rating of 74, the main thing you're going to focus on is Corpse Piler. The FP cost is 17, but then if you do the follow-up attack, that's going to cost 9. This is being used by a lot of players in PvP and a lot of players in their Arcane Bleed builds in PvE, and it's all because of the skill. Basically, before patch 1.03, Arcane scaling for weapons did not work properly, but they fixed it, and ever since they have fixed it, it's become, like, very quickly the most powerful thing in the game. But it's not just about the skill itself. If we use the skill, it does 2 slashes that are going to build up blood loss. But then if you follow that up with another one, it does an extra 3 slashes. There is a third one that will do 1 extra slash, so you get the 2. If I quickly refill my FP, you get the 2, then you get the 3, and then you get a ground slam for the final one. So it's a 6-hit combo with this after using your left trigger or the skill 3 times. And it deals so much damage. If you put talismans on, that will deal with getting extra damage when there's blood loss, so Lord of Blood's Exaltation. If you also run something like the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, that's going to boost your attack power the more you're attacking. Successive attacks are going to raise your attack power. And this is, again, another really, really powerful, like, OP broken weapon. It just deals so much damage. It's got AoE on it if you can get a couple of enemies close to each other. So you'll see there, I didn't manage to get a kill, but I did attack multiple enemies in one go, and I'm going to die. Please don't let me die, not in this showcase. So out of every weapon in the game, I'm going to put Rivers, like, in the top sort of category. But not only that, as well as it scaling with Arcane, it's got the blood loss build up, it also scales with fire. If you put on, like, the Fire Scorpion Charm, you're going to increase the power of this even further. So it's a really, really good weapon, but we are going to move into number 4. And weapon number 4 is the Sacred Relic Sword. You do have to take down the final boss of the game to get your hands on this. So the Sacred Relic Sword will scale with Strength, Dex, and Faith. A D for Strength, B for Dex, and C for Faith. The requirements are 14 Strength, 24 Dex, and 22 Faith. And again, I think it happens with every single weapon in the game. Your focus is going to be the skill, and that is Wave of Gold. It's got a 50 FP cost, so you might want to run this one with the Carian Filigreed Crest, because that's going to take 25% of the cost away, and it will bring the FP cost down to 38. This one I wouldn't really use, like, it's more of a faith build weapon, it's got the holy damage. I wouldn't really use this in a build. If I'm taking down a Deathrite bird, or if I'm taking down skeletons, then maybe because of the holy damage, and those enemies are weak to it. But this is more for rune farming. And this is really, really overpowered. It's broken for your rune farming. I mean, realistically it should be. It's a final boss weapon. But if we take a look at this one, this area here is like the most popular place for rune farming. If you put on a golden scarab, the talisman, if you pop a gold pickled foul foot, and then you're running this, if you come to this section, which is Mog's Dynasty, you can pull in, if you're consistent with it and efficient, you can pull in about 12 million runes per hour. So with the skill Wave of Gold, it just sends off this massive wave of holy damage. It deals a lot of damage, and the range is ridiculous. If we do it one more time, we'll quickly rest and we'll do it again. So we come back over to the enemies, and we pop the skill again. And if you just look at the runes at the bottom right, they build up so quick with this, and I don't even have the gold scarab or a gold pickled foul foot. So yeah, it does well against large groups of enemies because it's AoE based. You've got a massive wave in like stupid range. But I think this is more of an OP broken weapon in terms of like rune farming. Just purely because you can deal big damage and you can do it in a big range. So enemies like this are perfect for this weapon. Then weapon number 5 is Wing of Astel. This is going to be put on more of an intelligence like astrologer sort of build. And this is a fantastic weapon, again because of the skill mainly. You'll see the scaling is E for Strength, C for Dex, and B for Intelligence. The requirements are 7 Strength, 17 Dexterity, and 20 Intelligence. And anything you can put in your build to work on magic scaling is going to improve this even further. The skill Nebula costs 20 FP, but if we come out, if we just do a standard heavy attack, you'll see that this chucks like arcs at the enemy, and it doesn't use any FP. I don't know why the heavy attack with this doesn't use any FP, because it is magic based. It should be using our FP. I mean, the range isn't that great. But you'll see that over time, 4 attacks and the enemy's dead. It's also got very quick attacks, just as a standard light attack. But then if you use the skill Nebula, in front of you, it's going to lay this horizontal row of basically this magic. It looks like galaxies and stars and things like that, but it explodes and it deals a lot of damage. There is another weapon that we'll check in one of the other videos coming up for the most broken OP weapons in the game, and that one has it's the same skill, but it's a variation of it. And if you pair them two together, then the amount of damage you can deal is crazy. And then the final weapon we're going to look at in this video is Blasphemous Blade, and this has only recently sort of become a fan favourite. It's classed as a great sword, so it's quite a heavy one. It's got fire damage and the standard physical. It scales on strength, dex and faith, C tier all round. The requirements are 22 strength, 15 dex and 21 faith. But Taker's Flames is incredible. It's got a 30 FP cost, but the range on this is insane. So if we come here and we use the skill, it's going to drop this row of fire that's got really, really good range on it. But the thing with that is it replenishes your health, not on kill, but on hit. So taking a look at the description, the unique skill Taker's Flames, raise the sacred sword aloft to set it ablaze with blasphemous flames, then bring it down to fire off a forward blast. The flames steal HP from those they touch. So it's just hitting an enemy, and if I remember correctly, it's 20% of your health you get back. So if I very quickly get attacked by these enemies, if I let him just... Oh, okay, I didn't want to die from it. So, second time lucky, I just annoyed one of the guys that sit there and do nothing. But you'll see, if I come back here and I use Taker's Flames, there you go, 20% of my health back. And I'm still missing a little bit. So if I use the skill again, there you go. Back up to full health. And it's really, really powerful. It deals quite a bit of AoE damage. It's not like a really narrow row of flames. But not only that, with Blasphemous Blade, when you kill an enemy, you get a little bit of health back as well. I think that's only 5%, but the good thing is, you can put this weapon in your offhand, just have it equipped, and you are going to get that benefit. If I switch over, and I put the Blasphemous Blade on my back, so I two-hand the Rivers of Blood, if I get him to attack me again, if I now kill him, you're going to see that red that comes back. That is you getting HP back without even using the weapon. So there you go, you see a small increase, and then this guy over here, gonna get more health back, then again, gonna get more health back, and that's another really good benefit to the Blasphemous Blade. So as I said, it scales on fire, also scales with your strength, faith and dex. So any talismans and stuff like Fire Scorpion Charm that you can put on your build is going to benefit this weapon even further. And for a great sword, it doesn't actually weigh too much. I'd say it's like mid sort of tier with the weight for a great sword. So, Rivers of Blood, Black Knife, Sword of Night and Flame, Sacred Relic Sword, Wing of Estelle and Blasphemous Blade are the first 6 most broken OP weapons that you must have in Elden Ring. What we're going to do is leave that video there. I will be back very soon with another one looking at another 6 weapons. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about these weapons in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it.